I mean, I'm assuming they had some experts, that looked at that and that they figured that was the best place to come ashore. I haven't really looked at it. I haven't really analyzed it. So I've got no opinion really.
Okay. So then, would you describe the developer Deepwater Wind as having acted openly and transparently throughout the process?
Yeah, I think there was a lot. There was, I think it was open and in the news. Again, I wasn't really paying that much attention to it, but I was aware of it, what was going on. I was aware that there were meetings. I was aware that there was opposition. Yeah, I don't. I think it was probably open enough. Mm-hmm. That's a double-edged sword. I mean, you've got to be open, but by the same token, you've got to be able to get the job done. So yeah, I think it was probably pretty good.
Okay, so then. Same question for the state. You had mentioned the state a little bit before. Do you feel like the state, throughout the process, acted openly and transparently?
Yeah. Again, I don't have any particular issues with the way they did it. Mm. Yeah.
Okay, and so you mentioned you compared this to 38 Studios and how this was different in that way. Is there anything about the trustworthiness of the projects or of the state that you can elaborate on?
No, not with respect to Deepwater Wind. I think it was, I don't. Again. It really has to do with that kind of stuff. I think has to do with public expenditures. I mean, I think there are people that feel like maybe the rate was kind of railroaded through, and that they didn't. There's always going to be opposition and opponents, and they're always going to say, yeah, you didn't ask me, or you didn't do that right. In this particular case, again, I think it was a plus for Block Island. When I looked at the whole thing as it was happening, I'm kind of a green guy myself. All right, I've got a house that that I put a proper envelope on to reduce my carbon footprint, and it's extremely efficient. I worry about what I put in the atmosphere, and I worry about those kind of things, even though I'm an industrial kind of guy. And when I looked at the project as a whole, if they would have just come along and said, yeah, we're going to put 5 big wind turbines offshore, and each one needs 100 acres, and it's going to take up this 500-acre plot, and it's going to cost you 24 cents instead of 11 cents. I probably would have had some problems, mm-hmm. But there was the Block Island piece there, and there was the diesels over there, and there was the fuel, and there was the savings, and it was an improvement for them, and it was an improvement for the atmosphere. So that, gave me like a positive outlook on it. So again, I have concerns of the costs going forward. If they can build the turbines cheaper, if they can do the installations cheaper, if they can get the price down, why not? I mean, because you are saving your carbon emissions. So Did I get off the question?
No, it was good.
Right,
that was good. Okay, so then if I could just ask overall, how did you feel about kind of like the entire process leading up to this project? You've touched on it a few times, but
yeah, no, I mean, I felt all right about it. I didn't, I was actually excited when, we got involved in it, because I thought it was a good thing. And I did have a couple of friends, when I'd be saying, hey, we're involved in this, and they're like, you're involved in that, and so I had, some people who weren't happy about it. But again, I don't think, I just disagree with their analysis of the situation, and I think that we have to find alternatives to carbon-based fuels. I know that wind, solar, all of them are, they have their limitations. They each have their limitations, and none of them are going to totally solve. The thing that would really solve everything would be nuclear. But again, there's a huge risk factor there. And then you got other pollution that you got to deal with. So these are things that I think need to be pursued. I think it needs to be done, as you're implying, openly, and I think it needs to be done by people who just don't get stars in their eyes and are doing it just because it sounds great. They've really got to deal with the dollars, deal with where it's going, where it's going to be, how it's going to not only save the environment, but be something that people can afford to use. I mean, yeah, no, I'm not even going to go there. I was going to get ready to go on a rant, but
no, you should.
Huh?
Now's the time to do it.
Well, it really doesn't have any. It's more of an overall global kind of thing where here in the United States, you've got people all concerned about climate change. They're marching in the streets. They're talking about science. They're talking about how we're just destroying the planet and we got to do something about it. I've been a businessman for 40 years, and every year there's a new regulation on my company. I don't care whether it's OSHA, I don't care if it's DEM, environmental, workplace rules. Now everybody's worried about sexual harassment, and it's just this constant set of restrictions on the American businessman trying to make a living and trying to keep his workforce employed. All right? Which is fine. Again, we need to save the planet. We need to respect people. We need all that stuff. However, if you're going to do that, and if the United States is going to be a leader, then don't go over and buy crap from China that is built without all those restrictions because it's cheaper. And because you're putting us out of business and you're supporting these people that are destroying the world. So if we're going to put all these things in place, whether it's if we're going to generate wind power, whatever we're going to be doing, if anybody who wants to sell something into the United States has to meet those same requirements, and that way you make everybody do it, not just the American businessman. And then, oh, sorry, see you later. I'm gonna, now we got all these rules on you, and you're doing a good job. You're saving the planet, but geez, man, your stuff is so expensive. I got to go buy it from, wherever, Thailand. So that's my rant. I think I think people that want to do these kind of things, I think it's great.